That's right.
Feedback awesome. That's okay. So that we're always happy positive feedback. Yeah. Any notification of any urgent additional business? Just remind members of any declaration of interest, and have I got someone that will move the confirmation minutes? It's actually the 24th of June. You may have had on your agenda that it's still like, but it's the 24th of June minutes. I got someone that will move. That's been Andrew, and someone that will second that. So, all in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, on with the first item, which is item 7.1. And we have Andrea. Morning. Oh, we've got a whole thing. That's that.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll just put the microphone and pull it into the Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us here today to, I guess, ultimately conclude the Whitehall water process. So last year in December, the panel presented her recommendations, and those recommendations were agreed with the principal, and that triggered the need to then go out to the wider community to consult on ultimately the top recommendation, which is about taking on council line. So we've gone through that process, and we're now back to report on what came through the submission process. And there was questions also asked at the time around Whitehall Hall, but we've done that separately. And so we'll just deal with this report with the Whitehall water supply. So I'll leave it to Olivia, if you're right, Olivia. She's been fantastic in compiling the information that's come through and providing what it looks like.
Cool. So what you'll see in your agenda is you have all the individual submissions that are available to read through. From what we received, the change proposal that was put out. So that in the change proposal, and as you said, it was the proposal to the Whitehall community to supply. Just as a technicality, a proposal is a little bit different to a typical statement of proposal that we would do for consultation. A change proposal is saying this is what the council is going to do, what is your feedback, as opposed to here are some options, this is council's preferred, but we can go either way. So the expectation for what the proposal set out was so the council proposed to implement Whitehall Village to its water supply with the estimated cost of $8 million to connect up to 120 affected properties, with Whitehall being responsible for about 15% of the total cost. So that's what was put out to the community. So we asked, do you have any feedback on the proposal? And the key findings that came through, so we had 30 responses in total. You can see here that 10 explicitly supported the proposal. So what we've done is gone through the comments. It wasn't like a tick box. So we've gone through and looked at the things that explicitly say I support, just to get that result, just for clarity and assurance. So that's how we've got there. Similarly for the don't support, some didn't state clear preference, and there were a few suggestions around WIHO having wanting to also be connected to the council supply, or certainly some residents. That's what the submission showed us. And in terms of the respondents and who responded, you can see the majority were from Waitoa, and then the next being Te Aroha, as the proposal, as we're proposing that Waitoa will be connected through the Te Aroha water supply. So you can deduce it as likely why Te Aroha is represented there. So the general feedback from Waitoa residents, particularly the residents and property owners, was, as you can see there, was a focus on affordability, long-term reliability, accuracy, and then Yeah, so those who were supportive, the Waitoa residents who were supportive, again, reiterated the white community benefits with water safety and water treatment. And yeah, whereas opposing, there were residents who already have self-supply who didn't want to be part of the proposal, as this proposal means it's everybody that's involved in paying for this project or paying for the asset that connect the council pipes through the Waitoa community, regardless of whether you have self-supply or not, or are intending to connect to the council supply or not. And so that's where the affordability being came through quite strongly for those who opposed the proposal. Some other things were the accuracy. So given that the overall project costs and the potential increase to rates for both Waitoa ratepayers and wider district ratepayers was estimated and based on the best information we had at the time. But I think my saying was 2023 or 2024 figures, and it was 26. So it was a mind for respondents. For the wider district submitters, so part of this proposal is saying to the wider community that your targeted water rates could increase around, I think it was $35 per year between 3 and 7 years. And so there was feedback around the fairness of the model proposed and questions around the percentage split, so the 15% and 85 or 85% split of funding, and how we got there and why that is, if it should be increased or decreased, was discussed. And with again, whether the wider community should pay for or contribute to a project was something that came up. But it had been presented that online, and I think that here's the information that we put out there and try and provide as much information as we could. So the next steps, which is doing today, is confirming your change proposal, and if there are any minor amendments that need to be made or any questions or anything like that, if you would like to change. So, for instance, we can see that self-supply is unpopular. I think it's probably fair to say. It came up quite a bit. But yeah, so if that was to be, if you decided to change tact, which isn't recommended because it goes against the Waitoa community's panel's community recommendations. But if that was to be the way to go, we would have to reconsult because it would be a new proposal the council is putting out there and a change to what's being put out there. And we'd have to consult again to preface that from the technical side. There, with that, happy to take any questions or if you have anything I missed.
So when probably just worth pointing out leading into the discussions that when we, and appreciate it was a previous council that started the process, I guess, when we put forward some engagement options, there was a strategic engagement committee that presented, and going down the deliberative route, there were certain commitments that council needed to make as basically the ultimate decision maker. And one of those is just picking up Lydia's last point there, if we're not going to accept and move forward with the panel's recommendation, we need to be able to provide good reasons why we wouldn't, and just eradicate some things that is stopping us from doing that. It's a legal technicality. There would need to be a very good reason why we wouldn't go down that path. So that was what was accepted in the previous council. The reason we went down a deliberative path was also because we expected if we went down a traditional path that because everyone's situation is so different and it is quite complex in that regard, that there would be a split and an uncomfortable split, and it would make your job any easier making a decision. And I think with the wider consultation, we've gone down a traditional path, maybe ended up with a split, which probably doesn't make your job any easier. That's where, for me, the deliberative process comes to play, where we've got people from both sides of the fence, so to speak, in a room talking through the issues, being able to call in any experts or get advice that they wanted, and they have reached some recommendations that they were in agreement with. The other point, final point to make is with the deliberative process, while they presented their recommendations, there's also the opportunity for anyone in the room to request a minority report. And the minority report means if you're not that comfortable, if you've got points that you don't feel have been addressed through the recommendations put forward, we can develop a report to put forward with the recommendations so that as the decision makers, you're aware of where other people are sitting and you can weigh that up as well. That group did not want a minority report, so they were pretty much in sync. So people came in on different sides of the fence, and by the end of the process, they had reached a place where they were quite comfortable. So leave it at that. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I'll probably open it up for questions. Yeah. I guess for me, it is very close. And if you look at the forwards, one whose name I recognise and they don't live out here, that before it. So it's almost like a 50-50 split to be fair, and possibly even more. I think that there's no doubt that we want to obviously, do something for the water supply out there. But what was beneficial for me was that Waikato Waters are actually having conversations with Fonterra, Taumata Arawhai, and they've come up with 4 different, things on how they can progress that. Has there been any indication? Because some of them look pretty good too, which is like when you get wood from Fonterra and then set up a treatment plant and then supply the village with potable water from there. Has there been, because the time frame, we're weeks out of joining with Waikato Waters anyway, so let's face it, Waikato Waters will be the ones that supply it, whether it's running a pipe from Fonterra or it's negotiations with Fonterra and how they can come up with a better supply. There might be a better thing. Yeah.
So on that, yes, I'm aware that they have met with a few staff and have been talking with parties. In the lead up to writing this report, I tried to get feedback from them on how that was going, and I haven't had any response. They may not have other priorities at the moment, so that may not be an indication necessarily. I'm not sure what they're sitting at the moment. I would say that I guess the cheaper option of council having a role in providing water was to have Fonterra involved and utilising their water. I believe Maya and Don prior to him had that conversation with Fonterra and Matamata-Piako and didn't have any joy. But then one of the reasons with going with Waikato Water is that they may have more heft and may be able to pull off things that as individual councils we can't. So that could be a possibility. Yeah, I guess ultimately though, what you're talking about there is it's still a supply that council would be, or on our behalf, would be responsible for providing. And the decision here is ultimately between the council supply users going with the self-supply option.
Yep. The other thing for me would be, when you look at the submissions, it seems like there's quite a few that are coming forward and saying we've got our own supply, have for forever, and we don't want to be a part of it. And it's almost like, it would have been good to accommodate those people too, instead of them having to pay going forward. It'd be interesting to know how many there are, like how many actually do have their own suppliers. I haven't really got that or had the figures on that. That would have been handy.
No one holds those exact figures. So Fonterra, they've been providing for years, cannot provide us with the list of the people who are using their supplies. So our deduction, we can't say, for instance, yes, increases that self-supply. And through the door knocking process, that was attempted, but after 3 attempts at door knocking, each property who didn't come to the door or leaving calling cards, we had no response from people. So we reviewed the advisors, so we can't provide a list of who's got what supply. There's a mixture, so you've got the people who are completely self-sufficient, you've got people who are completely reliant on Fonterra, and then there are people in the middle who are getting small tanks or trickle feed from Fonterra, and so never really need to worry too much about running out of water. But I'm sure they have to still conserve through the water. But there is a mixture, so I'm not sure whether while we're looking at those who are being supplied by Fonterra, the trickle feeders position gaps their setup may not be sufficient if they're not getting the best of.
Go to James, then Andrew, and then Bruce.
Thanks, Mary. Yeah, look, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see that split because there obviously are some places that are self-sufficient, and we know that. We also know that that there's not room for tanks in a number of places that we've said, "Oh, let's go and do it yourself." I was surprised to read that stuff around Fonterra, to be honest, because I mean, how many years since it's been, Andrea? Well, but in terms of Fonterra wanting to get out, I mean, that's we're going back how long?
5,
6, 7 years, a long time. And Fonterra made it very clear the whole way that they don't want to borrow it, they just want to get out. And so I'm quite surprised to see some dialogue around Fonterra. And so I know I went on behalf of, I think it must have been on behalf of Adrian, I went into one of those public meetings that we had out there, and I mean, it's goodness knows how many of those. It wasn't just your consultation period. I think the new councils in particular need to know how much work has gone into developing, I guess, where we sit today. So there was never, ever going to be a thing that fitted everybody, because if you're sitting there going, "Oh, I've got a tank, I don't want the water," but it's too hard to cherry pick. It's far too hard. So I mean, and I mean, there's other little things like your firefighting supplies and all that kind of stuff come into those. So I was surprised to see Fonterra even, and I mean, the fact that Fonterra actually said here is $8 to put into the, to the project as well, means that, I was sort of, I think we should be making a decision today, to be fair. I don't know what Waikato Waters is going to do, but I think we need to be, I think our whole process has been, we need to be BAU, and then we hand it on the 1st of October. So we were never going to get fully, but I don't know of any other project that we've had so much work. We thank you guys, so much work to get to where we are today, and I think we ended up in a good spot. So yeah. My 2 cents.
Andrew. Well, Andrew, I'd just like to congratulate you and your team on the consultation in the first place. I think it was pretty, well, talking to Councillor Dewhurst myself, we thought it was pretty groundbreaking, the way you've done it and the way you engaged with the community. So congratulations there. And I've got no issues in supporting the community recommendation. My question is, we're looking at 8.5 million, and I might be jumping the gun too, but when you talk about the Fonterra 500k and then the possible Whitehall Walk 385k, whatever it is, that would reduce the total cost by 10%. And we're looking at a 15% and an 85% split, and questions of equity and fairness across the whole board, if we can lower it 10% across the whole board. So for those water ratepayers who are not directly benefiting from the scheme, it's in questions of fairness, it's probably better for them to instead of paying, say, 35, 36 a year, it might bring it down to 30 or 25, but at least that's a token gesture to try and show we are trying to maximise value for Waitoa, but reducing the burden of cost on the overall water ratepayer.
Fonterra has made it very clear that the end contributions to go to 10% was looking expected to pay. And I think in the recommendations, able to say that the Waitoa community through a whole process was to offset the cost for the Waitoa community, not for the entire project.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought I'd ask the question.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Back in December, I was very comfortable with what was put forward. I'm still comfortable with what's put forward. My question, having consulted Waikato Waters, was that they would come back with looking at 4 options. Now, So it's possibly you to answer there, and from a procedural point of view, where if we make a decision today that says we will provide with water from Te Arawa, does that pass to Waikato Waters? This is what we expect you to do, or are Waikato Waters then going to relitigate the whole thing?
Yes, I can. I think I can answer that. Well, I can. After the December meeting, I spoke to Waikato Waters about the importance of this project to council and the need to get it into the program if indeed the consultation process follows through and council makes a final decision. I said this is an important political decision for the community and for council, and we need it on the schedule because it wasn't actually in our water services delivery plan. It wasn't in there because we didn't have the process completed. So I advocated for that. Waikato Waters said to me, okay, so if we pick this up and we understand what you want to do, what is your view about us finding a cheaper option of providing the same thing? My view was we would do the same thing because you may recall we talked about different routes because it might be strategic to go down State Highway 26, State Highway 26 rather than the route we're chosen. I said the delivery of the program doesn't concern me. It's the outcome we need. And logically, we would go for the best option for the benefit of the consumers in total. So they told me they're going to Fonterra. I said, you can go. Go for it. I have no problem because that would be the cheaper option. I think I know what their view will be, but if you can get that over the line, fine. If you find a better option that can be done and achieve the same outcome, I'm fine. The figure of 8.2 million was based on we had to put a number in that we knew could be delivered. It would be if we were delivering the same project, we'd try and bring that number down as much as we could, but we had to have something that at least we knew the community could see was a realistic number. So it's not a target, is it? It's a number. It's kind of setting the context for the decision making. Does that answer the question?
No, I think so. I know so. And if I was from Fonterra that don't want to be a water supplier, I would be saying, look, thank you, but no, thank you. Yeah, right.
So sorry, just to finish that off, what I didn't answer. So if the discussions from Fonterra don't go ahead, the project's still on the books. They still have to deliver an outcome.
Yes.
So they're just trying to get the cost down.
As we would.
Yes.
And to touch on that, because I guess a couple of things have changed because Taumata Arawhai, Fonterra and Waikato Waters have been in negotiations and been talking, and which is encouraging. It's great, because like you say, Bruce, the biggest thing is Fonterra didn't want to borrow Taumata Arawhai's regulations. That's basically what the crux of the matter is, and who would blame them. But I guess in the Waikato Waters following letter that comes with the agenda, they are currently investigating a number of potential options, including use of Fonterra treated water supply, taking treated water from Fonterra with limited additional treatment and distributing to the community, and also the raw water take with local treatment option. So these are options that they're working through, which could potentially be cheaper than the 8.2 and a better outcome. Yes. So I guess that comes back up to the agenda recommendations. I don't think there's any doubt around the table that we want something for the Waikato community. We've got to sort out something for the water. Again, it's going to be Waikato Waters that deliver it. Because like I say, physically just can't end up before 1st of October. So I guess it comes down to the recommendations that, with the option 4 is agrees alternative arrangements will be required following Fonterra ceasing supply of Waitoa Village and West Council and or Waikato Waters Limited work with Fonterra and affected property owners to support the transition to an alternative water supply arrangement once a future cessation date is known. I guess that's part of it. Have we got anyone? Oh, go. Sorry, talk to about Vinny and then Dave.
So my concern is that it's not a mandate. So we had 30 responses, 10 of them were supportive. And what I'm not clear on is how many of them actually village. And we know that there's a number of people who are self-supplied. And I don't know how many that is. I'm wondering if it's possible for individuals to opt out if they wanted to, because I don't like running, over people when they've got like self-sufficiency and you're imposing a different solution on them when they might not need it. So my concerns around it, and also they've currently got water. There's discussions going on right now. So I'm supportive of option 4 because I see that as buying more time for the discussions to happen and allowing some of these things to be resolved where there's not everyone's on the same page. It's not a mandate. So that's why I'm supportive of option 4. But, yeah.
Hey. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to answer one question, but I was just going to say that the basis of local authority delivered systems has been once you create a water supply area, whether you're connected or not, you pay for it, and that's the status of all of our supplies. So, because there are people who prefer not to have town supply, but the idea is that because there's a big cost in putting infrastructure in, and because that infrastructure benefits whether you're connected or not, it benefits the property. It's kind of like it is a taxation process. To be fair, once it goes to water metering, it actually will become more a user pay model, and all that capital cost etc. would end up. There's probably fixed charges still, to be fair, but that changes the way that you collect the revenue. But at the moment, your system that you have in place for your council supplies is if you're in the area, you pay, whether it's full or if you're not connected, you pay half.
But just a question on that, just flesh that out. And I totally understand that for like an urban area, but with the rural settlements, which are a little bit different, there was where they do have the option of sewage, supplying their own sewage and water. Does that still apply?
No, so in the rural area, we don't actually commit to supply rural properties.
That's what I'm saying.
So, but if a rural residential falls into, if it does, at the moment we've got a couple of rural residential areas that fit into our supply area. Effectively, they become the same. But because we don't make any commitment to supply rural, we're happy for a pipeline to go past properties, and some might be connected, and we charge them, and some might. But in the urban area or the villages, Tahuna, Waharo, you're in.
So are they classed as urban then?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so many things kind of floating around in my head and so much time spent kind of thinking about this one, because I get it. If you've got your own system and that set up there, doesn't matter what happens, you're going to be a bit PO'd that, this is getting forced upon you. But then I also think there's people that, we said there, that don't have the room for water tanks to go in their backyard. So I mean, the option for people to sort things out for themselves is not necessarily available to everybody, but I think everybody has the right to some fresh, clean water, right? So this Fonterra thing has kind of, for me, come out of nowhere. I didn't know there was an option that was on the table, but it still adds complexity over a pipe being run from council, because you're still spending, I would imagine, several $1 million, on an endpoint treatment or a start point treatment from the water that's coming from Fonterra, to have it be compliant to go to those neighbours. And then you're going to have a lot more secondary ongoing maintenance costs for a second water treatment plant, a small one that's there, than if you're piping it from an existing plant where you can do all the maintenance in one area. So, And then you've got infrastructure that you've spent money on that's at the behest of another supplier deciding in 5 years' time, oh, we don't want to do that anymore. I don't know. It seems a little bit messy. But if it's an option that delivers what they need at a cheaper price, they also don't want to take it off the table. But I also don't think that when we've had a really good consultation with the community, I don't think going away and asking for them to, go and have another think about it is going to return any different answers than what we've already seen. Because we mandated, you guys to go out and have a talk to the community and see where you could get them to, and said that we would base our decision on the information and the feedback that came back from them. To me, to then turn around and not take that pedance is undermining council, what we've said in the past that we would do based on, what that group came up with. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's some more light on, but I would like to get to a decision for these guys today. But I think that it does need to give the leeway to Waikato Waters to potentially deliver something if they can do it cheaper for the community. I think we're all kind of comfortable that it's the 15-85% split, and I think whether that ends up being a water treatment plant at Fonterra or whatever, that can remain. I think the money from Fonterra, if they're going to put it in still, if it's a wastewater treatment plant, which they might not want to do, if they are then still having to be the supplier. So who knows? There's a lot more water to go under the bridge, so to speak. When I'm looking at this recommendation, I think it needs a tweak, but I would be saying something along the lines of 3A, the council confirms the in-principle decision to connect water properties in the Waikato Village or the council water supply from Te Araha as its decision. However, as part of that, rather than a separate thing, if Waikato Waters can deliver that same water from Fonterra in a different way that it's advantageous to the community of Waitoa, then that option is still to be pursued. But I don't want to see this across our desk again. I don't think it's fair to the Waitoa residents to delay this. And I think we need to deal with this today, not postpone it because maybe some new information has come along. We need to have a mandate, leave this room today, that says this is what you're going to do, unless maybe you can make this work.
And on that, Dane, too, Waikato Waters, out of the 4 options, the Te Araha one is still on as an option for Waikato Waters, which ties into what you're saying.
Yes, I just want to make that point, sorry if I can. So, because they said to me, oh, we might be able to do the wall, we might be able to get water out of the way. I said, fine. The outcome is a municipal supply to the town, however you achieve it. Fonterra do not want to be a supplier. That's absolutely clear. And if I work, I'll give you honest. I'll tell you this. I had a conversation with their representative about Waikato Waters' approach. They're still not keen to be a supplier. They preferred. I've got to say that's not in writing, but there was a conversation I had with them because I was surprised that might progress. But the bottom line is, if Waikato Waters do and protect White Fonterra, that's amazing. It's be a great outcome.
Which is why I think we need to leave the room. Sorry, which is why I think we need to leave the room going, this is what we're going to do unless this thing can happen.
Yeah. Getting Greek.
Oh, I think he's Andrew will answer.
Oh, so
So can I say, just building on that, to tidy it up, it's probably very too specific to the Te Aroha. That was based on the option. But it could be the connect properties in the Waitoa Village to a reticulated system,
yeah,
which would then open up opportunities. Being very specific to the topic, so there could just be cut back.
Question, Andrew, the pricing, the $8 million, how many quotes did you get?
This is, I mean, the only thing I can say to you, Greg, is, sorry, Councillor Marshall, is that it's going to, the price that we've consulted on will not be the price of the project. This is a high level estimate, and it was done in 2022, I think, by WSB. It is.
4 years ago, so it's probably good. It could be worth 15 million. Oh, what do you mean?
Waikato Waters would.
But that's still tax. That's still ratepayer.
No, but
Waikato Waters are us. It's still coming out of our pockets.
Yeah, but that's not a quoted price. That's
well, you're saying $8 million. We're going to make a decision today. We're going to. And the price on the water tanks,
It's not going to be the price though. That's the thing.
Well,
Doesn't matter what price we
how do we
get.
make
It's
certain
only
we don't know the price?
Because it
Sorry.
was a high level estimate, we had to work with something to be able to consult with community on, without spending a year of staff time getting into detailed costings. We were never going to be able
Fair
to.
enough.
quote
Yeah, but yeah,
what
okay.
a specific.
Thank you.
Yeah, Andrea touched it, Rich. So if 3A said council confirms the in-principle decision to connect property from the Waitoa village to a council water supply, or a council regulated water supply as its final decision. I think that leaves it open as to what Waikato Waters might do, but it's a council articulated. And I would move there.
Just as a technicality, so we, in the text of this week, I think we probably already I think we specified Te House, so that is a deviation from what we've put in our proposal. It's I that we could maybe have a look at to make sure it's minor to make it order, but just as a to make the point that from memory and I just double check.
You might want to take care of them specifically. Because they could come up with a.
So Olivia, does Tiara have to be mentioned? Because you'd say Tiara or under council control.
Well,
and supply, so if you had to do both, must be.
Yeah. Well, no,
It's just.
I'll go here. Council confirms the in-principle decision to connect properties in the Waitoa village to a council supplied water articulation or something. Yeah, I don't know that Tara has to come into it.
No, that's right. That's what I mean. You really need to take that out of it. Probably.
I could see Olivia's point.
Yes.
Of perhaps would it, because could we say council water supply from Te Araha or alternative equivalent out that achieves the same outcome, something like that.
Yeah.
So that you're actually going back to the outcome.
Yeah, or appropriate something on this.
Yeah.
There's just some words sniffing around.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
That's your saying.
It'll be all over.
Hang on a second, Liz, but hang on. So Bruce,
So you put it up.
do you want to run a step? You're moving a motion.
Yeah. You're moving.
council confirms the in-principle decision to connect properties in Waitoa village to the council water supply from Tiara or its equivalent. Is that what you said?
Equivalent, is that the right word? We'll get it by comms people.
Or
Alternate,
or an
achieves the same outcome, something else.
or an alternative supply that meets the same outcome.
Yes.
It means it's by the mix together. So, yeah.
Because they achieves the same outcome.
Chiefs.
And I'm happy to second that, Bruce. Beautiful words.
Second,
We've got the wordsmith.
James, thanks for second. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, and item 7.2, Waitoa Hall funding allocation.
So, given the decision you just made, the Waitoa Hall decision is now on the table to work through. So just a little bit of context. One of the recommendations, well, as we know, cost and affordability is one of the main issues and has always been around this particular issue. And the way the panel was working was trying to find ways in which to reduce the cost for people that was in the village. So they looked at volunteer funding, which was given, and then there was the Waitoa Hall funding. I appreciate there's different perspectives on who might have the right to that funding, but they were suggesting that to help reduce the cost, the full sale proceeds could be put towards this project, either in part or in whole. And so one of the recommendations in December last year was that we went to the people who are paying a targeted rate for the Waitoa Hall to get their thoughts on how they felt about either part or whole, just not doing that, contributing to their project and perhaps I think something else. So this is the information that we gathered. We didn't get a huge number of responses to it, but I think it would be fair to say that whether it was part or whole, there was general consensus or a strong consensus that people were keen to see funding from the Waitomo process contributed to the project.
Any questions on that, or someone that's prepared some information?
I'm just sorry, I just have a question, just a question really around, this. You know, I think it's good use of the money, I'm not saying that, but it's either, for me, it was either the full or the proportion of the pro rata. And I just wanted to know what residual would be left after if option B was the preferred back, and then what that potentially would be used for in the Waitomo district. Because I mean, I've received some phone calls about people that don't live there, provided to the fact that they didn't want that's their opinion, that's fine, but they didn't want that used there. But I mean, they weren't really, in my view, they weren't really sure what it should be used for. I mean, if it gets diluted down a small amount, then what are you going to do with it? Sort of kind of thing. So I suppose that was just a stage clarification in my mind.
So if you prorated it, the remaining funds would still sit in the council reserves.
Sure.
So it would be up to you. It doesn't necessarily actually spend what it is. Legally, you're not required to spend it. It's sitting there, using it way then December.
Sure. But do you know what kind of money we'd be talking about? Because it's 300. What is it?
Did you say in the report?
Oh, no, it says what the outcome of the wholesale was, but I didn't think I really think about
Yes, 200 and something.
So, was it?
With interest.
Okay, sorry.
So, yes,
So that was
About 30.
okay. That was so that was just what that money would be used for, or whatever, if there was anything else, and that won't only the money will have to be spent.
Because in the past we talked about playground or something, both bowling clubs, things like that.
So yeah, question mark, so there was something around that, because I mean, if I hear putting in $500,000, if they're not offset costs.
Bruce, any date?
I was interested to see what the outcome would be, because there is that 2/3, 1/3 type, more or less split. I was heartened to see the community spirit, I think, that came about, that those that were sitting outside it were reasonably supportive of this is a good way of spending the money in an area that is hard. It's low socioeconomic, a lot of pensioners and what have you, and I was actually heartened to see that that community spirit. I would support the entire fund going to.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought something similar. And similarly, I think that the group came back and said that they were okay with just a prorated amount to be given. So you've got the group going, oh, well, to be fair, if it costs us a little bit more, that money should be set aside for the people that aren't involved in this. And then similarly, you've got a bunch of people off to the side going, oh, it's all right, the community needs it. So I think both ways it's, pretty good community spirit. I agree. I wonder, I guess the thing for me is that, as Councillor Marshall said, that the number is an estimate, and I wonder if the number is higher in the future when the project actually goes to happen, whether the same outcome would be made by the group. So while I'm happy to see all of Waitomo Hall funding go towards this project, I'm also aware of the fact that we said that we would follow what the group there kind of came up with. And I wonder whether maybe if the project comes in on budget or under budget, then the prorated amount from the hall goes towards the project. If it goes over that amount, then the total amount from the hall goes to the project. Just simply because if that number is different, you may get a different outcome from either side. But that was something that I'd supportive of, but if they want to do it one of these ways and keep it simple, that's fine.
We sold the pool in 2019. We've still got the money, so we've been sitting on it for quite some time. We're looking at 386,000. I mean, the playground is really nice, but you know, I look to Rotary or Lions perhaps to help out as a project there. I think this is about people's, you know, welfare, and I would be happy to put the whole lot to it. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting around with, you know, 100 and something thousand and not quite knowing what to do with it, which it isn't. Is it our money? Is it their money? You know, so yeah, but I'm happy to go with the majority thing here. It's just my comment.
Have any move motion on that?
Yes, I will, but we put the entire approximately 386,000 into offset costs.
Someone that will second that, Andrew. Moved by Sue, seconded by Andrew. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. So that, thank you. Thanks for coming in today. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Item 7.3. Picking of Waikato Waters. Susan. Welcome, Susan.
Let's go away.
Yeah. October.
I say that with love and care, but you know, it's been a long journey,
Yeah, good morning, Mayor and Councillor. This is kind of a formality. We came to you with the draft transfer agreement at the end of June, and with the delegations given to the Mayor and our CE to finalise the agreement. So Council at that time endorsed the agreement as well. So this is kind of that formality because we don't want to actually Council to adopt the agreement. So,
I'm happy to move the formality, Mary.
Happy to move, James Thomas.
Second.
And was that Dane? Was that James T? And Dane. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. That was quick and easy, eh? Thanks, Suze. You got the Midas touch. It's all,
Yeah, it's easy.
7.4, and we have Olivia again. Oh no, we do. Oh, yeah, we got big guns in the room today.
Oh.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this report is seeking your approval for a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, to be entered into with Waikato Waters and the other participating councils to jointly and collaboratively review our water bylaws. So we've got 4 of those: water bylaw, wastewater, stormwater, and trade waste bylaw. Under the new legislation, and make sure they're consistent with the new requirements. So yeah, really this is providing that we would delegate our bylaw making powers to Waikato Waters in terms of enforcing, administering the bylaws, and we'll work together to review them. Council will retain the powers to approve the bylaws that are proposed by Waikato Waters. So that final sign off will sit with you. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, no, so you were saying the council are still responsible for approving it. Are we responsible for making and passing as well? Yeah, creating those bylaws, or was that Waikato Waters?
That will be part of Waikato Waters' role. Yeah. So they will propose a bylaw back to us, and then you'll be asked to approve it or see if there are changes.
And the MOU,
so they won't be able to sign off on a bylaw. They don't have the legal powers to do that.
Okay, so
that has to sit here
to us. Okay, yeah. Yep. So that was my other question. It still gives council control of this legislation. So I'm still okay. Thank you,
Bruce. Just a comment. What a complicated legal mess.
Are you happy to move that?
Is that an extra recommendation?
Yes,
and I'll second it. Ash.
I second it.
Option 1, I guess.
Bruce.
moving on, just wanted to say,
Oh,
yeah, just one comment from me too. That I think that, I wasn't able to read the memorandum of understanding, links and whatnot, but I think, we need to ensure that we have clawback if we ever need it in the future. You never know what's going to happen, you know, because I was reflecting on this whole process and, sort of like the way we've ended up here. Well, first of all, it was called Three Waters, and people were not happy with the code of governance. And then it was back to the drawing board, and then it's come forward in a different form, but it's ultimately we've been forced to do it because of the regulation, and it's the way, it's the answer to how we've been, you know, going to be able to afford to deliver water in the future. But let's say in the future that we end up with another left-wing government and they're all keen on the co-governance again, and then it sneaks back in. So potentially we end up with the same thing, but it's got a different path to get there. So I think that we need to ensure that we have the ability to claw back any powers that we delegate. So I'm not sure how we handle that, and that's for you and I.
Could you remember that in the future, please? In your brilliant career ahead?
Really all on your shoulders, Captain.
Just very briefly in relation to the recommendations that we've got here. So we've got 4 recommendations. You'll see in recommendation number 4, because the bylaw is a draft, you'll see there's various placeholders. So what we're seeking is that you delegate to Mania to be able to just wait till we get the final MOU. Mania can then sign that. We'll let Waikato Waters know of the delegations that you've made today. But as you can see in number 4C, we've put in provision that council retains the ability to revoke any delegations, and that would always be a power that you have. You can revoke delegations at any time. So if you felt that this wasn't working in relation to these bylaws, and you wanted to claw back those powers, and say, Waikato Waters, we don't want you to be administering or enforcing these bylaws any longer, then you could revoke those delegations. So that's why I've just put in number 4C to just kind of, I guess, specify that. If that helps.
Thank you, Noel, but the issue we can see is it says by mutual agreement. So if they don't agree with us that we want to revoke those delegations, then it doesn't happen. So I think 4C needs to say that it's, if we unanimously as a council decide that we revoke delegations, then Waikato Waters can't stop us, in my opinion.
I see no problem with that. If we just remove the words mutual agreement, so council retains the ability to revoke delegations if decided in the future or something like that.
You're doing that.
Yeah. Are you happy, Bruce, with that amendment?
Oh, yeah, by all means.
Yes.
I have noted here if required in the future here.
Yes.
I would suggest maybe not putting in unanimous agreement, because typically we just need majority around the table.
So C would revoke any delegations between
Future.
Matamata and Waikato Water.
Yeah. James Sainsbury, you happy with that? All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah.
Ash, this is another good time for me to just wire on about, you can't, there's no links in this, you can't click on the links, they're dead. So it's a waste of time giving us all this background information when we can't access it. So, you know, if you want us to read the stuff, we can't.
Okay, thanks for that. If I can just feed that back, there's a problem with clicking on the MOUs and stuff like that, opening the attachments.
You've seen
We
that.
can get that sorted.
Oh, so this is just in a separate attachments file.
Yeah,
There's a big file of all the agenda attachments.
Yeah.
All the links.
Yeah, no, all the separate file.
Yeah.
787 pages.
Yes, with all the district plan information.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll show you. It's just the
Yeah,
links.
okay, we'll get
Yeah.
that sorted out. Thank you for
Moving on.
that feedback for that. Hey, Noel, while you stay there, because we'll do you a piece.
Thank you.
7.5 before we break the morning tea.
Okay, so this one really falls out of the decision you've just made around the MOU, and it's seeking to delegate the responsibility to prepare a trade waste discharge plan to Waikato Waters. So this is a new requirement that all councils must prepare a trade waste discharge plan by August next year. And so that responsibility, unless delegated, sits with council. And because the services are transitioning to Waikato Waters, we're effectively just suggesting that they pick up this role and feel it would, from a staff perspective, would make sense that they're managing these assets and can set the trade waste plan accordingly.
That's pretty straightforward, I think. Yeah.
Is this, with this trade waste plan, would this be where like your fees and charges be set for businesses that take trade waste to the wastewater treatment plant?
To the wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah.
Through, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Septic tanks, etc.
Yeah, yeah. So so what would, okay, yeah, because that's my only concern is around the impact that it could have on local businesses that, deposit trade waste into facilities. Waikato Waters, when they get power, jack the price up sort of thing. I just don't know like how we're ensuring that there's protection for the businesses, they're not getting waste gouge, that sort of stuff.
So if I can answer that to an extent now, they have a new regulator that will be overseeing these entities, the Commerce Commission. And one of the things that they'll be, because you've got effectively a monopoly situation, yes. So they'll be scrutinising the charging policies of the entities.
Yeah, it's a consumer regulator.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that was probably one of my concerns too, Vinny, but I see the advantage of this bringing alignment to the trade wastewater across the whole region essentially rather than this district. So that's going to be a positive too. So whether economy of scale keeps the price down or helps. But I just see good alignment across the whole region.
Oops, my name's Peter.
So having
Adrian. So we've got a seconder for that. Dane. All in favour, please say aye. 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 Thank you. And on that, we'll break for morning tea. Just like to know, we're 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Well done. Morning tea. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Morning. And Sue.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Push the button in there. Awesome.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to present to you again today. We're here to talk to you about the Matamata-Piako raw water supply and the 10 properties that are connected to it. As you know, we've been going through a process over around about the last 9 months, looking at the various options as to what we could do for these 10 properties that are connected to our raw water line. The reason we were required to do that is because Matamata-Piako, the water regulator, notified us last year that the provision of raw water to those properties was not aligned with the Drinking Water Services Act of 2021. So the report you have in front of you today presents 3 options that staff are looking for direction the recommendation on in terms of a chosen option for these 10 properties. And we would also be seeking your endorsement for the utilisation of unassigned capital funding to fund whichever option council would deem to be the most appropriate one. So that's just a little bit of the background that we have for you, and we've workshopped that recently. Just a very quick recap on the 3 options that are available for you to consider today. Option 1 would be the provision of a treated water line connected to the existing Tauranga water supply, treated water supply. Option 2 would be endpoint treatment with its source water still remaining the raw water supply, and endpoint treatment located at each individual property. And the third option would be the removal of the 10 properties from council's raw water supply, and the provision of individual rainwater tanks and tertiary treatment for those properties, but they would then in essence become self-sufficient, but also self-reliable as well. So that is the overview of what we have to present to you today.
Okay. Any questions? Maybe just before going to questions, just a question for myself. Have we got any other, you know, how like, this was obviously, they were hooked in historically, you know, it's going back like 30, 40 years ago or whatever, they were just pumped into the water supply. Is there any others around our district that are similar, like say off Tools Road or anything like that? I'm just thinking, like, are we going to set a precedent here, you know, because obviously, you know, like, you know, say, so we made a decision here, are we then going to pop up, but well, we've got a similar case now, we're going to have to do the same there, or, yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, personally, I'm not aware around the district if we have got a situation that closely mimics this one, but Suze may know from an asset management perspective, from an activity perspective, if we do. I'm personally, I'm not aware that there is a situation that is like this one, where people are already connected to what is deemed to be a registered water supply.
Yeah. And second comment, there's a company down in Taupo got some good deals on water tank, two-stage UVs and pumps and stuff. You can get 2 of those systems, 30,000 litre ones, for 10 grand.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's around about the pricing range that we've arrived at.
Yeah.
Per property. Yeah.
So,
Looking through the legal side of this, it seems like for water tanks, for the people themselves to be able to put water tanks on, even if council said them, there has to be a minimum of a 75% buy-in to take them off of the, you know, the council water supply, correct? So do we know where we're at in relation to that even being an option on the table?
We've done some research just recently and that would be just post the workshop that we had. The 75% pertains to supplies that are already deemed or registered as
small rural supplies. Okay, which this is not the case here. These people are a direct connection to an existing piece of infrastructure or council, but they're not deemed under the Act to be a small rural supply. If this were designated as a small rural supply, the 75% definitely features. We had anticipated that in the very beginning, and we had asked Matamata-Piako if we could deregister those 10 properties and form a small rural supply, which then would have given us an alternative pathway to follow. But Matamata-Piako were of the opinion, and they sought legal opinion on the fact that no, we deem the raw water line to be an intrinsic part of your complete water supply as registered with under the Act.
So do we actually legally have, given what you just said, do we actually legally have a pathway to put them onto tank supplies?
Yes, we do.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Vinny.
Is there a potential option for where they can choose between 2 and 3? Is there any? Does it have to be all or nothing, or can we give the choice to the individual property owners?
The direction we're seeking from council is to choose a single option. However, should council deem it to be more appropriate to consult on more than one option, that would be up to council to provide that advice for us. We had intended today to seek one option because Matamata-Piako is seeking feedback on one single option and confirmation of funding related to that specific option.
So, but technically, or there's no reason why, because you've already got the infrastructure in terms of the pipes, and if so, technically it could be possible for any user to say, "Oh, I'll choose endpoint treatment," and then the next one to say, "Oh, I'll choose my own tanks." That's technically.
Our preference would be to be one or the other, because the complexity comes in after that for council. Anybody who remains on that supply, even if it's only one person or one property, it immediately then we are still deemed to be the supplier.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of the quandary that we face today is that we've got an option of, if we went for option 2, it is we remain the supplier, but we have met the requirements of the Water Services Act.
Yeah.
But we continue to be responsible. That implies Waikato Waters continues to be responsible, and they would almost be treated as 10 small water treatment plants. Whereas the option 3 is a complete release of council's obligations in terms of the provision of safe water.
Because there's only 10 people, I'm sort of reading council has asked to confirm this a third option, and then we're going to talk to the people, tell them what's going on.
Yes.
In my way of thinking, it probably should have been the other way. We talk to the 10 people, find out what's going on, then come back to us and say, it's a bit like a survey, this is the majority want. However, but I guess this comes back to the right water in the right place. I guess this is what is the frustrating thing is it's not about what the people want, whether they want a tank and be happy with a tank. I guess it's about the pure water in the right place, which is a shame because these 10 people might be going, hey, happy as can be tank, I'm fine. And once again, my other part is comes back to Waikato Waters at the end of it, because we can make all the decisions we like, and they will come and say this is what. Am I right on that?
Not if we supplied the tanks. Then
No, that's what I mean. But if we go down we're going to pipe some water, and one of you might be on now the 9 tanks, that's not financially viable. So yeah, it's a hard decision because you're only talking to 10 people. This is a lot of money for 10 people. They might be happy with everything else, but to Matamata-Piako, I can never say that. Probably are going to come over the top.
Well, and that's a good point. I was just going to make the same point. This isn't normal. We are under a direction.
Yeah.
We need to move, get to an answer. So that's what the team have tried to do to come up with a solution that council accepts, and the regulator accepts as well.
And the people are just going to have to accept,
Well,
sadly.
Dave,
Yes, so second question is, we've got an option on the table for us to supply, tanks and the rainwater system and then go, there you go, job done. You're in charge of it. And we've got an option there for endpoint treatment time times 10 where the council is in charge of the ongoing maintenance of it. Why can we not go endpoint treatment, there you go, it's ready to go, but you're in charge of maintaining it now? Like there's an option there for the costings for it, but there's not an option in the recommendation to go that way.
The option exists for ownership to be transferred to them, but unfortunately the regulatory oversight remains with council and Waikato Waters Limited. As long as we are the provider of the water of the raw water, or no matter whether it be treated or not treated, as long as it's connected to our formed network that is registered under the Act, unfortunately we remain. Yeah. We could get away from the maintenance requirements, for example, and just check up everywhere and say, thou shalt maintain, okay, in order to continue the provision of safe water. But should they not do that, council / Waikato Waters Limited remains responsible to make that happen.
yeah, look, myself, I'm comfortable with supplying the tanks and actually, dissolving our liability to it. I'm not sure about, adding another thing to Waikato Waters is that here's another 1.3 mil or whatever onto the total ratepayers just for a handful of properties that was done historically because we've never normally hooked up properties to town supply water. I think the cheapest option for our ratepayers, because it's still going to be our targeted ratepayers that would have to pay for something like this at the end of the day. And to be honest with you, those 10 properties, if I was one of them, I'd be jumping for the rainwater tank. You wouldn't want a bar of being hooked up to because a lot of them are paying nothing now for the water, majority probably. And if they are on a re-ticket, they're going to get a surprise when they get their water bill from the water entity going forward. So I think, it'd be prudent for us with just such a handful of properties to supply them the tanks and put it back on their ownership to run it, just like all of our other rural properties do the same. That's my thoughts on it.
But then that's what happens when they come back and go, I can't handle that. That's what I mean. We're sort of putting the cart before the horse. The 10 people, in one little old lady. That's all I'm just saying.
Oh, yes.
We're sort of making it. I don't mind that. But,
but I think there's a common thing that they know. They live out the thing. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Have your own sewage, have your own water.
But I think, and I agree. I think that's a logical conclusion. But when we were talking the other day, there was just one point that I was just thinking about just then was around they using their water, stock water and stuff like that on the ground water. So they would have to find fairness of all expenses for that, I suppose. So, but I mean that's like where it's city or somebody, right? Yeah, so I mean that was where that's effective, but otherwise, I'm comfortable with what I can say. Yeah, Bruce.
I was going to comment too, and I think the complicating factor is the number of them that are using it for other than residential, because Brookfield's talked about if there's no more than 50% for domestic supply, then it could be registered as a habit. I think that's going to be I think that might be the thing that'll be difficult to get across, because when you say, it's simple, just put a board out. It's not as simple as you might think to put a board out to feed your stock. So
you're still not hooked up to them.
No, they won't.
No, not under the tank system.
Under the tank, they get nothing more.
Yeah, option 2, we would be seeking a council's endorsement on our view that potentially we could leave the raw water connection in as long as we were 100% satisfied that there were no interconnection with the endpoint system itself.
That would have to happen.
Okay, and that would have to be something that would have to be regularly checked.
Yeah.
But yes, that could provide, and that would solve the
That would
issue
solve
you
that.
described,
The
yes.
Option three, rainwater tanks means that they will have to find an alternative supply for their stock, which is going to be the thing to sell.
Yes, if we chose option three, the intention of option three is to remove council's obligations and for them to be self-sufficient. If we were to then entertain the provision of water for stock, then you start erring towards then option two, which then still means that we / Waikato Waters Limited remain our water supplier.
Yeah, can I just get clarity on that? So if they had a connection to the raw water supply, but only for stock, is that an option or no?
We would still be deemed to be responsible for ensuring that at no point in time could there be any form of cross connection or cross contamination or anything like that. So that onus would still be on the water supplier itself.
Because if you had a dry summer, what would you do? You tap into that, work on your tank.
Yeah, they'd have to just fill up the tank like.
Yeah, but I mean, if that water was still there, that'd be. But
Does Waikato Waters have the ability to override a decision?
No.
I look this way.
No, I mean, in the future, they may choose to service any rural property that they want to, but at this stage, we would make that decision, but who knows what decision they'll make in the future.
Okay, we've got someone that's with big
information.
Oh, Bruce, you.
Waikato Waters option is preferred option is option one, isn't it? But if I'm happy to move something, but we're really this is not an end conclusion here. This is just the way forward into a consultation.
Is that right?
Right?
Is that right?
Preferred option.
Well, this is if we go option three, council approves an engagement with affected owners on the preferred option. We're not making a decision here other than.
No, it's telling them what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So because we've got to get this back.
Reads at the top.
They need a position.
Yeah.
I need a position.
Right. Well, I'll move. Council determines that option three. Right?
Yeah, individual rank. Okay. Yep. I'll second that.
Then they've got to find, then we've got to see something about the stock.
That's it. Anyone that's got to
Like every property though.
Yeah.
They've been lucky to date, I suppose.
Yeah.
You've got to think about the lead time that way.
I would imagine so.
This is a position we have to get back to term at Arafai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just pure hybrid to try and get a resource.
So we're not implementing just next week or anything like that. So got moved by Bruce, seconded by myself.
So what was it?
Oh, no, I was just wondering if the survey happens again, maybe a quick survey first about maybe if we had the three options, whether it was the right option or not, but it gives them a heads up that, you could be potentially looking after your own water or an entry fund or something like that, rather than here's what we've decided.
If I could comment, that's absolutely a fair comment. I guess what's been difficult for our team, and this is, I'm not criticising the water regulator, but they've had to get clarity on some of the things, and you may be aware that Mayor and I were told offered solutions, and so we've put that back in the team. Have had to really nail down the clarity of this. I feel for the team having to work through this, because this isn't how we normally do it, but we've also racing the clock as well that the regulator has said.
We ended up pushing out the time, and we got an extension on time, but it's down to a point they need a.
So what is the motion, please?
Motion is that council approves case which is option 3, the individual rainwater tanks. Council approves in the case of either.
So it's 3.
Sorry, yeah, so that's been taken out. And then 3, council approves targeted engagement with affected owners on the third option. Council authorised staff to engage with Waikato Waters Limited to confirm delivery, transfer, and implementation. Well, that would come out of there too, wouldn't it? Yeah, so number 4 would come out too, wouldn't it? Because it wouldn't be going to Waikato Waters.
Much as Commissioner,
Yep.
as staff, you're at the coalface. What do you think is the best option? Personally, or as a business, you're at the coalface. We're not. I wouldn't have. a clue. Look, I think if I can answer that, there's a technical solution and there's a practical solution, and I think the scale of this says that the technical solution was overscaled. The option one of the treated water from a water supply, it's clean, but it's $1.x million for 10 properties. I mean, a business decision would be find another solution.
Okay, and then take 4 out. Yeah. So everybody's clear on that?
So we're going with individual rainwater
And
tanks.
and then that would dissolve council from any obligation going in the future or Waikato Waters Limited.
I'm not sure about taking 4 out. I think we've got a timeline.
Yeah.
We've got a time for we're not going to.
So roll into.
So does it roll into Waikato Waters to actually?
The question on that would be, my mind, would it be Waikato Waters that would deliver the tanks to them? I would believe it would be us in this case.
We would try and do that, but I think the time is getting closer to the 1st of October, especially once we do have constant communication with the landowners and find the right.
So it could be Waikato.
So it could be dragged. So it could be if required, council. Just if we don't.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's cool. I just wanted to have clarity there. So yeah. So again. I think we say item 4, if everyone's happy with it, be council authorised staff to engage with Waikato Waters Limited if required. Yeah, if required, to confirm delivery, transfer, implementation, operational responsibilities, any related transition. Okay.
Yeah.
Moved by Bruce, seconded by myself. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you very much, everybody, for the opportunity to be in front of you again. Thank you.
Always good seeing you, young fella.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 7.7. Oh, here we go. Request for extraordinary council meeting, and that's me speaking about this. So basically, guys, as you know, we're getting down to the point of the reform, if you like. So the extra special meeting, as you're aware, is next Tuesday for the proposition of putting in an application for the Head Start. So it's just a heads up on that. Okay.
It's online, right?
Yeah, it's online.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I might be dodgy connection.
It's
In person for those who can, because we've got a meeting, but we're having it online here. Yes.
Yeah.
What time?
Early, 8:30.
It's mate.
It's 8.
Just 7 o'clock.
Yeah, he's still asleep.
If you still got the gym and I will then.
Is it 8:30?
Yeah.
I'll move that.
I'll second it, Ash.
Yeah. All in favour, please say aye. Votes. Motion. Thank you, guys. Okay. Adoption of the risk appetite statement, and we have Ken in the room. Thanks, Ken. 7.8.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Good morning, Mirish. Good morning, councillors. So so risk appetite statement. Look, I'll largely take this as read. It has been well considered, and it is being recommended through by the Risk and Assurance Committee. A number of you are on that committee, obviously, so pretty well versed in it. It does incorporate a couple of changes that were agreed by the Risk and Assurance Committee, and those are detailed in the report. So look, yeah, this is the first time that this council has adopted a risk appetite statement. So in that regard, this is a really good step forward in regard to the risk management journey. It aligns with good practice and it gives really good direction for staff in assessing and managing risks. But what I do just want to point out is that it is important to treat this as a guidance document, and the document actually says that. So it's not a rigid prescriptive tool. Yeah, there is still room for professional judgment. There is still room for informed departure. But I guess this kind of puts a line in the sand, and like I say, it's all about providing direction for staff as they are assessing and managing risk in terms of what level of control needs to be put in place to manage that risk. This is the I guess the appetite setting document for that. So yeah, that's all I want to say in an introduction. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah, that's something that we've workshopped quite thoroughly, I guess. James, thanks.
Yeah, didn't have a question, more a comment, except to say that at the Institute of Directors workshop, the budget I went to last Tuesday, a template of this was shared, publicly available one. It was very, very highly complimented by the other councils that were present at the workshop. So a real acknowledgement to provide its can, but also the work of the council and pulling it together. So sure that if there's any discussion, but when it's time, I'm happy to move the recommendation as it stands.
And in fact, the presenter kept it, and it's going to use it as a template.
Yeah, I think that.
Did you send them?
Yeah, can I claim a royalty? Just gonna make the point. Just kidding.
Maybe we should follow up and maybe, like we say, send them. That's a good idea. So,
just to the Risk and Assurance Committee, who I know go through this word by word, line by line, everything was comfortable with everything. That's really.
Yeah, there's a kind of
Brochure on it as well.
a few wording updates from that, which I reflected there, which I think good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as a member of the R&A committee, I'm happy with this, and it just, it should give staff some better clarity around what council expects and what the public expects. So if James is happy to move it, I'm happy to second it.
yeah, great. Okay, so we've got it moved by James Sainsbury, seconded by Andrew. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we are going to be here really.
Here we go. Too early in the day for this comment.
I shouldn't have said that, should I, JC?
The curse that
We're back at
Nadia, though, she's up now. She's away.
Oh, that's like lightning.
Bad, that's it, yeah.
7.1.
Good morning, councillors and mayor. So this is largely a housekeeping matter. When we set the liability management policy in October last year, we foresaw that we've got this Waikato Waters thing coming up. We're going to transfer 70% of our debt across to Waikato Waters on the 1st of October. Yeah, the ability to manage within our normal parameters that we have in our policy sort of goes out the window a little bit. So we foresaw that in the policy, and so we've allowed a provision that you council can retrospectively approve that we weren't within our parameters over the year because of this issue. So that's in a nutshell. I can better take questions.
Any questions, Andrew?
Hey, Lania. So when Waikato Waters is complete, will that finances settle down in regards to this? And then I was also going to ask, with the interest rate risk limits, is that showing us a proportion of debt hedged? And then how can we have more than 100% hedged? You've got 126, 124%.
Yeah, we obviously need to review all our hedging provisions and stuff. We'll look to close out quite a few of our swaps once that debt's gone. Yeah.
And then your liquidity ratio is, well, you've got a ratio at 110% rather than 1-to-1 or whatever. So is that 1 to 1.1? So does that mean every dollar debt we have must have $1.10 cash available? Is that?
Yeah, so we try to keep us at a 10% buffer above the amount of debt we have in either cash or borrowing facilities.
Okay.
So, and I know as our debt has increased over the time, normally we would look to increase the borrowing facilities we have. But we haven't done that because we know 1st of October comes and things change. Yeah, will change. So
Okay, so first of October, yeah, end of October, we'll have a bit of clarity around how those finances. Yes, well, I don't mean to put you on a 30-day key, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, I need to do a bit of work with PwC just to, once dust is settled, so see where we're at, and make it's going forward from there. We have actually got a meeting that's Waikato August tomorrow to sort of try to nail down our debt figure, projection, and so.
Cool. No, so I really just wanted a better understanding around interest rate risk limits and the liquidity ratio. Thank you.
Thanks, thank you.
Yeah, I guess sort of following on from a few of those points, it'll be nice when everything's settled down, and appreciate that everything's in flux a little bit at the moment, and really just acknowledge how proactively it's being managed from this time last year, realizing all of the uncertainties. So again, I guess there may be more comments, but happy to share the recommendation. I think it's outlines it nicely.
Any questions on that? But if not, have I got someone that will second the recommendation? And Andrew. James Saintry moved. Andrew seconds. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Lania.
Thank you.
Awesome. Tamara, 7.10.
Is it that time already?
7.10, 7.11. Yeah. You've got two.
Good enough. So if it's okay with you, Chair, I would like to take the report as read and answer any questions that may be need to be asked. And I also have a very short 3-page presentation just to show the differences between the two different systems.
Okay. Any questions for Tamara? Andrew?
Is the first past the post tomorrow, is that broken or is it, we're not,
No, it isn't broken. I wouldn't say it's broken. The postage would probably be something to consider because the prices keep increasing. But it's a system that we've been using since 2007.
That's okay, because we have been STV before, we.
Yes, one election.
This one wasn't one.
Yeah, 2004 when it became available.
I think, yeah.
And then it reverted to the first past the post.
So why don't we stop that?
Yeah, well, why did they review it? But
I don't know, sorry.
no,
No.
none of us but easy.
Need to vote on it.
It was a political decision, but I think it was coloured by that election. There was a problem with the results, if you recall, first time under STV. I don't know.
I can't recall.
Trying to think who was there, but it's a very complicated way of counting, and you can't do it manually. And there was a problem in Wellington, and we all used one contractor, and Wellington called something that locked the whole thing down, and we couldn't get our papers out. And even if we could have, we couldn't have counted them. So, you know, the theory is great, but it was a brand new system at that point, and there was a hiccup, and they created I can't remember how many councils, there would have been at least a dozen that were doing it through STV. But yeah, so it came down to, I think it was tarred by the process and actually getting the results out. It was weeks later.
No, some still do, don't they?
Yeah, I think who's got STV still? Do you know?
Quite a few mayoral ones. Quite a few mayoral elections are still STV.
Yeah.
We have in the Waikato, I believe it's only Hamilton City Council.
Just no more questions. That's 3 slides. Thanks, man.
Sure. So they're on the screen at the moment. So the FPP, it's just as you would be aware, depending on how many vacancies are in awards. So for Te Aroha, we had 3 vacancies for the last election, and electors can only vote for 3 candidates. So they would just put a tick next to each name, and that goes for all of the other wards and the mayor as well. The candidate will receive the most votes, and who receives the most votes is declared the winner, regardless of the proportion of votes that the candidate received. As for STV, if you could go to the next page, please. So instead of taking the candidate that you want, you would place your vote next to the candidates that you most prefer. So you can vote for as many or as little candidates as you please. So your most preferred option would be 1 and then 2 and so on and so forth.
Most of those did. Most of them. Yeah, almost of them. Living in a happening zone.
Well, it's still.
Elvis Springdale.
Isn't Elvis still?
Yeah, yeah, he does some relief milking.
Sorry about that, Tamara.
That's okay. That was all I had to say.
There we go.
Charlie tells me that 35 use STV and 43 use first pass.
And do we know what we're going to be using anyway?
No, in terms of what the entity will be.
Yes,
Well,
that's what I mean.
yeah.
No,
Well, only Hamilton City using STV, so the for instance might be PP, but anyway.
Move on.
Oh, Grace.
Oh, no, I was just gonna make a move.
Yeah,
Make a move. Making a move.
So make a note, Grace.
What movie are you making?
That we just keep it as is the FCC. It's easy to understand, and the community know how to use it.
I'll see.
Great logic.
Awesome. And we've got Dane seconding. All in favour, please. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, guys. And Tamara, Code of Conduct update.
Thank you. Again, if it's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to take the report as read and answer any questions.
That's fine. Any questions? Tamara? Ben, I've had some minutes to go to the resolution. And James Thomas, happy to know. It's happy to second that one.
And we've got to make the decision on number 3.
Okay, yep.
I don't know why I mean, is that important?
Hasn't it always been?
It's always been there.
Yeah.
But legally was because we always got guidance.
So if council adopt a new code of conduct, recognising that this is just one minor change, you are required to consider every time that you adopt it, whether you need to declare the undischarged bankrupt. We have in the past always required that for many, many years now. But you are required to consider that every time you look up your code of conduct.
And the reason behind it?
It is in the legislation that we have.
So if it's in the legislation, why do we need?
It's in the legislation that councils have to consider whether or not to do it every time that they adopt a code of conduct. So we're kind of coming to you as a formality to make sure that our dollars are lined up perfectly with legislation. But because it says every time you adopt a new code of conduct, whether you're changing one minor thing or not, you have to consider that.
If we do.
I'll move.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, how dare you?
James, Steve, have you got, what would you like to do for?
I'm happy to keep it this what we've done. Yeah.
That's what it is.
And just on this one, sorry, we will need a vote of at least 75%.
Okay. Yeah, that's in the first, second part. Yeah. Okay. So James Thomas move, Vinnie second. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Hands up. Yeah, sorry. Hands up. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Awesome.
Show of hands, please.
And LG and Z remits. And this is the remits we're putting in on Friday. The AGM.
It's just online.
Cool. Good morning again. So yes, we're here to represent the LG's remits. Before I continue, I'll just like to introduce Manisha, who's with me this morning, who's one of our new policy advisors that's recently joined our team. So we're very fortunate to have her on board. And I'll hand over to her to take us through this one.
Excellent. Thank you, Nam. So today is an opportunity for council to instruct Mayor Ash on its position for each of the remits. So the council cannot change the wording of the remits, only confirm whether or not it is in support and in what order they should be. But to help determine whether or not council is in support of the remit, I will read out each of the remit headings and, if required, provide a brief summary. Council may use this time to discuss its position or ask any questions, and I will confirm your position before we move on to the next remit.
Yeah. So we're going to go through them individually. So it's, you know, you're going to read them in your agenda, the remits that have been put through. So whether you want us to support it, the Dog Control Act, for example, the first one is making it, giving councils more power for, you know, dangerous dogs is the other thing. So whether we support it, yes, we do. And what kind of, or no, whatever. And also we need to try and get the most important out of all of them as well. So like a priority, if you like.
My suggestion is that it might be better to work through the support or
first,
and then consider the ranking, because then you might have some that you don't support. So that might be a way of filtering it out.
Why is there a ranking?
I guess which ones we want LGNZ to concentrate on the most, I guess, you know, so the most important.
But I mean, if they pass the agreement, yeah, I kind of do it, but I mean, if agreements pass, and they should be priority anyway.
No, we could actually rate them. This is the first year that we've been asked to consider that.
Oh, don't judge me because it might be in there, but do we have who presented these remits? Did it come with a, did it come with a?
Yeah, that was in there.
That was in there. Apologies.
Okay, so take it away. I think we'll go through them individually, and you want a yes or a no?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll start with the first one, which is the priorities for Dog Control Act reform. If you'd like, I can give you a brief summary.
Oh, no, I think.
It's a yes from me.
Yeah, it's a yes. I think generally yes, guys. Yes. Yeah. That's a yes. Yeah.
The next one is improved regulation of vape fleet hours. Sorry.
Not sure on this one. I don't.
I'm happy with the central government to stay with that. I mean, that's the industry house, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
And we've got enough bullshit about those.
And if you think about the ones that are in town, because there's a couple of things for me on that is that there's people that are trying to give up smoking, so they are vaping. Also, in regard to around, it's strictly R18. And so, yeah, so I'm not sure.
Reminds me of
So anyway,
highs.
I think, so,
Shops, but
yes, I think the communist is a central government thing. Yeah.
Can we not support that one?
No, that's right.
The next one is financial support for government reform implementation costs.
Yes,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
It's number one.
And I think the next one probably a yes as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's logical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The place naming one was getting it to the TAs to a bit more local knowledge. We have the names on that.
Personally, I think the devil you know, when you've got one authority that's potentially woke, then at least you can change that. If you have multiple authorities that are woke, then how do you sort that out? So it's sort of like my thinking on that one, why I would say no.
Okay.
My question would also be, how much extra work does that put on to territorial authorities? You know, do you have to do consultations, you have to do this, that, and everything else? So,
are we getting a feeling of a no, not something we can like? Correct. Actually. Yep. Enhanced role for government in supporting national diplomacy.
No. Definitely not.
So no.
It should be.
Why would you want LGNZ doing foreign affairs when you've got Winston Peters?
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
He's online, so it's all his followers. But
He's watching the room.
Of funding of transport activities. Probably didn't fully understand that, to be fair.
What? Yes.
Right, well, it could be a yes thing.
Does that mean?
No, I've got any comments on that.
I mean, just I think the view of staff would be that if we have a more flexible multi-year funding certainty, we would support that.
Yeah.
You know,
But
yeah, I mean, we also would say what accountability and reporting comes with that funding as well if it's changing.
And as we go into amalgamations, I mean, it's going to be, more regional anyway. So all the funding flexibility would be key, wouldn't it?
yes.
Yeah, it's going to really add to that, I guess. It's a yes, but I think probably when we get to the ranking in terms of relevance right now, I can imagine it would be quite far down. So I'm supportive of it, but I just haven't dropped the
May not be our top priority.
Next one.
Yeah.
Number one.
So that was a yes for the train.
Yeah.
And on improving long-term plan audit requirements, yeah, and you know, say this
Around this table a few times. So.
and you may not look into the one on it. And lucky last, a fairer approach to uneconomic transport and infrastructure.
What does that mean?
Be way down there.
Well, this is context, like the hell.
It's a weird,
Fluffy,
fluffy, weirdy sounding meeting.
Is that when you have to stand up the bus route that no one uses?
To run through.
Is that the sort of thing when you have to stand up the bus route that nobody uses?
Yeah, potentially.
Is that what they're talking about? Or a cycleway? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of that remit, Stratford District Council seek either NZTA co-funding for uneconomic transport infrastructure that councils are legally required to maintain, or clearer pathways allowing councils to downgrade or cease service where infrastructure is no longer economically viable. This issue is particularly relevant for bridges and
So for example, if the weights increase, we've got a lot of bridges that would have to significantly increase, have structural improvements to it. So.
Or you to support it.
Can I just, sorry, I'm just going off a bit of topic here, but I've got mates that are in the trucking business, but in a big way. And we hear this often that the heavier trucks are doing this and they're doing that to the roads, but they have a different slant on it because of the extra axles and stuff like that. There's actually bridges they can go across with a heavy truck that other trucks that are under that can't because of the extra axles, because it's a load. Yeah. So yes, I hear all the time, that they're doing this, they're doing that, but I'm not actually 100% sure if that's actually a fact or if it's just because it sounds like it is. I don't know. That's what they're saying,
Our concern would be that if we've got bridges rated for a certain weight, we wouldn't want it open slather. We want it because, and yes, in our district, heavy transport is a big deal for us.
Yeah,
it's vital to our economy. So
yes, yeah.
So they've pointed out here that in the case of Stratford, they've got 18 bridges that fall into the category of being uneconomic because they provide access to just individual properties, or they're for private use or very low usage. So apparently NZTA are considering a position where they will not co-fund the replacement of those kind of assets. But it's still the council's legal responsibility to maintain them while they're there. So they're seeking that support.
things are changing. The power companies are doing the same thing. That they delete themselves from certain power poles, and that's just walking away. Responsibility.
So I think from that bridging side of it is that we have a lot that says up to 44,000 kg or 44 ton, and they're going to be into 50s. It's more about an axle weight rather than total weight, and so in some ways the classification needs, of the
Yes.
bridges need to change.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing is though, that if you've got a bridge that's long enough that the whole truck's on it, doesn't matter what your axle weighting is, you're still putting 44 or 50 down on it. But to me, that's more relevant to the road. There's less impact on the road if the axle weights are less.
Yes.
But if you're on a bridge and the whole truck's on a bridge, the whole truck's on a bridge, it doesn't matter how many axles you got.
Just hit it speed, Dave.
Don't touch.
Thanks. So,
Oh, no, so that's, so we're supporting that one, yeah?
yeah. Okay, right, so I'm guessing the feeling around the table before was around the, obviously around the audit one, which we're thinking that might be number one. Is that happy with that? Yeah. Thinking number one. And so are we just picking, are we going through the whole list, though?
So I will take those.
Top four.
Yeah, so I've categorised the ones that you've supported versus the ones you haven't. And if I share my screen, go through it with you so we can determine which ones you want to prioritise.
Sort of feeling probably the dogs one, but come on.
Or the financial assistant.
Financial assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me read that one. So it's all right. Yeah. The long-term audit requirements, financial assistance for number 2.
Yeah.
The removal of representation review. So number 3.
With that 3, with dogs going apparently.
And then the dogs afterwards. I guess I was more thinking the representation review is very pertinent given the process that we're going through at the moment.
Yeah.
And then fairer approach to uneconomic transport, the last one we talked about. And then the funding for transport activities is the bottom ranked of the ones that we support.
Yeah.
Just as a proposal to start a discussion.
Yeah, I think it's, anyone else got any other, pretty happy with
We've
that?
got audit first, the audit fees,
Yeah.
then financial assistance.
Yeah.
Number 3 is representation reviews, important those. 4 is dog control.
Yeah.
5 is the uneconomic transport routes, and 6 is bulk funding.
Yeah.
And if you could email me that, so I can.
Yes, it will be included.
That'll be awesome. Thank you.
Yes. So the top 5 are essentially what we would be here for.
We're on it. I even got to deploy to the audit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. James, you got anything to add, or are you happy to move?
No, I'm happy to move all of that, both to be voted on the ranks by the presiding delegate, which is Ash, and I'm also attending as an alternate, so that's good.
Okay.
And then everyone's voted.
Andrew, seconds. All in favour, please stay away. Opposed? Carried. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And I probably should have mentioned at the start, but I have a bit of a conflict of interest with the next one because we own land for my business. I don't personally own land, but 2 of the shareholders have really been own land in Bow Street, which is affected property.
Yep.
So
No, that's what we can note that, but yeah, I think, yeah, that's fine. Thanks for noting that. Right, so we've got 7.13, Carolyn. Morning.
So just bringing today, plan change 64, which is the Banks Road residential zoning in Matamata. We did have the workshop at the beginning of the month. We've worked through the application request, and we're now at the point where we're going to request a decision from yourselves as to how we progress with the application. We have got a little presentation.
Yep.
So it's got Obviously, there's a structure plan on that site, so we've just got the existing one on the left-hand side, and we've got the proposed amendments on the right-hand side, and you'll see the addition of the reserve there, and slight movement of the indicative roading, and obviously in the bottom half of the diagram it becomes residential zone as opposed to the rural zone with the future residential policy overlay that exists now. And when you look at your report, you'll see that it's sort of in two halves. In the first half, we've got a review of the application. And what we're doing there is we're looking at a number of things, and we want to, if the application is approved for notification, we just want to make sure that there's a robust application and that anybody who's a submitter will be able to work their way through it. So we've assessed, or we've looked at the applicant's assessment of the statutory framework. So in this case, there's some national policy statements that are relevant, also the regional policy statement, and of course our own district plan. And we feel that the assessment there has been satisfactory and the proposal is consistent with those documents. For a plan change, the applicant has to go through a Section 32 assessment. So they have to be able to demonstrate that the option that they've chosen to go forward with is the most appropriate way to achieve the outcome required by the district plan. So their preferred option does meet the tests of that section. And then you'll obviously see all the specialist reports supporting the assessment of effects. And the overall conclusion is that that proposal is quite well suited to that particular site. Obviously, the key change there is bringing on the residential zoning, and in this instance, a modified version of the residential zoning to facilitate the extra density that the applicant is seeking. So the second half of the report deals with the decision that we need from you today. So 4 options there: reject the request. The Act's quite sort of clear on the matters that you can reject a request on. Just at the beginning of the options discussion in the report, staff consider that the reasons for rejecting a request are sort of not valid in this instance. The report or the application is sort of shows sound resource management practice. It's not frivolous or vexatious. This matter hasn't been dealt with recently, so we feel there's isn't grounds to reject the request. Would it be efficient for the request to be treated like a resource consent? And we did talk at the workshop about adopting the request, because a plan stop, we can't really adopt the request because then we'd have to seek an exemption application from the government to process it further. So the staff recommendation is to accept the request in this instance.
Sure, because otherwise we carry cost. If we were to option 4, if we adopt the request, then we carry cost. So
and we do, just on the last slide, in the event of the we just a timeline for the application. If it was to proceed to notification, we anticipate that it would be operative in the middle of next year, given the submission, further submission process, hearings, and when you release the decision, you have to allow for an appeal period. So we would see it finally operative in the middle of next year.
Okay, thank you. Any?
Oh,
So there's no further comment. I'm happy to move that we accept the request.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It's fine.
I can second that.
Sue, and the second it? Okay, that's great. You're happy with the accept and not adopt? Moved by Andrew, seconded by Sue. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, 8.1, the RMA policy and district plan update. Carolyn again.
So just take the report as read. So if there's any particular questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions for Carolyn?
Just a question, are we still progressing the Matamata-Piako agreements?
With the recent government announcements, we've met with the iwi authorities and we've agreed to pause the further work on that at the moment. That's particularly we've met with the Upper Waihau group, with Tauraki District Council working with the Paihaka Collective. And my understanding is about middle of August, we'll know what the amendments are for the new paper. It's going to be before the Parliament, so we'll report back to the council once we've got.
Thank you. The recommendation is to will be received, and you've got Dane moving that, and we're finished. Did you want to second it? Yeah. Okay, so we've got moved by Dane, seconded by Vinny. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 8.2, Ellie. I think a lot of these next ones are mostly technical. 8.2, Ellie.
I have done a presentation before, so I'm usually the grants coordinator, except I'm doing the governance advisor role for Stacey while she's on maternity leave. We have this one to be taken as read, but if you have any questions, I don't know.
Any questions arising from them? It goes through and shows where the grants have been allocated to, which I think is very cool. James Patrick.
Yeah, no questions. We're just a compliment on the administration. Like looking over this, there's quite a bit going on to get it all moving smoothly, and then seeing the things that have received funding, I'm like, that's made a big difference. So I guess acknowledgement to you for keeping the administration and also all the decision makers in the committees. It was great to get all that done, and amazing to see how relatively modest sums of money can actually have a huge impact across so many different things in the district. Yeah, so when it's time, happy to recommendation.
Any comments on that?
Just a great presentation.
Yeah, it's a great presentation. It does make a difference. Every little bit helps with these clubs out there because, as you know, without them, it'd be a pretty dull place. And so every little bit helps. And they actually phone call and mention it even at meetings. They'll come up and say, "Oh, by the way, really appreciate council giving us that little bit of money." So it does go. It's not a lot of money, but it does go a long way. So yeah, and
we're doing a presentation that will go in the governance update as well, which has a lot of photos and videos, which are really cool to see. And a bit more information, just little fun facts and statements from who received funding as well.
I've just got one comment actually, is the underfunding round 2 is a $500 towards the prizes for design and motorhome golf tournament. Yeah, I mean, it's been going for a while, and I understand that, and I can understand seeding funding to get it going, but surely, that should pretty much be self-funding now.
I can respond to that since I was on that committee for those grants. When I first read that, I thought similar, but no, they're actually buying vouchers for our businesses as part of that $500. So vouchers for the spa, vouchers for this, vouchers for that, and that's the reason why I was happy to support that, because that money is directly going to.
Okay, thanks, James. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, because I'm a golfer, so I should.
Golf is question everything.
Any other comments on that? I've got moved by James Sainsbury. I've got someone that would second the motion.
Joel.
Rick?
First time for 6 months.
Good idea, Gary. Excellent. Might get you to move one in a minute. Here we go. Moved by James Sainsbury, seconded by Greg. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Awesome, guys. Thank you. And we get Charlotte, the CCO sports monitoring final statement of intent, Waikato Regional Airport Limited. They're expecting a good news stories. Hey, good morning.
Morning, everybody. So just the Waikato Regional Airport Limited report to be taken as read. There's very minimal changes within this. But yeah, just a couple with the annual outcomes. But yes, take this read all.
Yeah, it's always great reading those reports from Waikato Regional Airport. It was because we were sort of involved with that way back in the day, and it wasn't always that rosy when we get the reports, but it definitely turned the corner now. It's great asset for the district.
COVID had an impact as well. So.
Yeah.
They benefited from that though.
Any questions, or I've got someone that will be happy to move? And we've got someone that will second that.
I will.
So, all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 8.4 is a similar vein to this.
Oh, it must be good management.
Yeah, so this is just the collab final statement of intent. So there's no changes to this one except some minor amendments.
Just got some questions on the financial statements, actually. Their personnel costs over the last year or so have gone up by 2 mil and projected to go up another mil as well. Wondering where all the people are coming from and their cash flows, they're bleeding money. They just seem to be, they're all in brackets. Just wondering if there's some explanation about that.
Funnily enough, and I've got in big red letters too, how many of those are our ex-staff? It could be another thing too.
Yeah.
So in terms of staff, what CoLab has done has implemented a number of initiatives such as the overflow of processing of this building consents with quite a number of the group. And to the Mayor's comment, some of our people who were in our processing team are now working across the Waikato at CoLab. What's the other big one? That was probably the biggest one. But they've also done some work in the road asset management area as well. So, and they are potentially going to, there are a number of councils who are working with them about expanding building consent services even more. So those are the areas, but it is directly related to the services that council are prepared to subscribe to. So while they might have short-term cash flow issues, they're funded primarily, well, they are largely funded from the council. So they've got very good clients, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And it's not super short term though, because I mean that projected cash flow was negative for the next 3 to 4 years, I think.
Didn't they, sorry, one of their reports, just to jump in, they gave a big cost cut to councils because they had a lot of money in surplus, and I guess that's going to roll on for a couple of years to reduce the surplus of funding because of a bit of lower income from the fees that they've reduced, right, for that to catch back up. So
It's a one-off reduction in member charges.
I just don't want to see them bleed all that money and then dig into reserves, and then we're the ultimate shareholders who have to
They do have some investments that they're potentially going to do in relation to some of those services, which have potential returns down the track. Now, those aren't all confirmed, but the board's clearly planning on allowing for those kinds of things. Now, you can be reassured that we have on the board, we have Mr. Peter Stubbs, who's very astute, but also you would have seen that we have various chief executives. I'm not on there, but David Spears is our board member representative for ourselves and Hauraki and Western Bay. Chris McClay's there, Lance, so very astute people on the board. And Steve.
I wasn't questioning that. I was just sort of just look at the financial.
So we had to take them to task, I guess.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Some of the most astute people in the world are the best at spending other people's money. And I'd be worried personally, what Andrew's saying about the privatisation of council and stuff. And I did hear through the grapevine that possibly the Bottom Parliament is looking more moving that way. Cambridge?
We're not.
Just here, and so I have lots of context everywhere. But that's much my concern. Because you've got the staff here, I'll just bring them up. Bring up Ghostbusters, I'll fix it. But at a cost. And if you make that more easy for them to enter into that employment, they're not going to come this way. So I do have a concern.
Sure. So no, and I'm very aware of the concern and the importance that our organisation plays in the community. So just as regards to that building issue, so some of the councils are looking at potentially combining to provide building consent services. I said no. I said now's not the right time, not with the unitary.
Within that organisation?
Yeah. With council. So I've said no to that. So you could have heard something. I said we've got other things that we need to be doing. So we're very conscious of that. This entity is there to deliver better services for us, but it's not at the expense of, it is frustrating that we lost good people to there, but that's their choice. Certainly we've got an eye on making sure that we have sufficient scale here in our organisation so we can deliver what you expect.
Yeah, I've just got a couple of things. It's where it says it's my old bugbear, and it's a little bit like Auckland City too, and received $194,000 worth of efficiency gains. Now, are they audited, or is it just because someone says that we've efficiency gains? That's just one statement, but I've also got. I'll scroll down because I made a few.
Well, you got a discount on their ballpoint pens or something.
Yeah, but I've got this one here too. There was another thing I've got question mark. So I hope you see that. Here with me. Here we go. And it's in the okay. So it was under probably a little bit like Andrew. I have a look in the old monies. I like to see what the dollars and that. And then under the bank and the assets column, and then for 25-26, there was like 1.558 million in there. Then we budgeted, and then going out further, then we're getting rid of that dollars, obviously. Well, it's going down in value, but I'm just surprised at the amount of dollars in the bank. I'm wondering, I would have thought, because we're paying into it, we're paying too much into it if there's a surplus in the bank of that quite magnitude. My own thoughts. Could be, just need clarity.
Sure. So the way they're largely funded is as I say, you pay a fee for the use of services. And so there's a chart in there you might have seen which shows all the services they offer and what councils subscribe to. I think ourselves, Hamilton City Council and Waikato District Council subscribe to the most number of services. So when we have those services, we have a fee that we pay. So our fee is based on what we believe is acceptable to us to get benefit from that. So that is their main cash flow. That's where they get their money from. So in terms of managing that cash flow, that can change depending on whatever proposals they're developing, because they do are in research and development, and so new proposals to an extent we allow them money to do that. So their cash flow might change for that. It might change because they decide actually they don't need this amount of money now, and so they drop our fees for a year, so that they'll move that. I guess what I was trying to say to you is the management of the balance sheet and the company financials are overseen by our representatives on the board, which are chief executives with Peter Stubbs, an independent chair. So And absolutely, there's a question there that we don't want them to hold too much cash,
Yeah.
nor do we want them to go under.
No, no.
Um,
That's right.
neither of those things.
Yeah.
So I think I am comfortable that they are being well managed. I think we are clearly in a position. I've said this to them, so I don't mind saying this here. Their future in terms of existence comes into question in terms of what's happening with the restructure of local government. So for now, we're saying, let's make sure we keep the things going that we need to, and let's be careful about what else we go into. Hence why I said building consent provider service. I'm sorry, not now. In 3 years' time, it might be the right thing to do. So that's, I'm comfortable that overview, appropriate overview is given of it as an entity.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that reply that they do actually, do that with the fees. If they've got it, we've got good. Totally understand that you don't want a zero balance. Totally understand that, but also with it up at the figures like that, so it'll be like us having money in the bank. It's almost like we're overrated, charging too much. Okay,
So just another question for clarity on the balance sheet. Actually, Manila is you've got total assets of around 3.7, 3 mil, but 2.2 million of those are intangible assets, which makes me worry. And then I'm just wondering, is that an offset on the depreciation, or is it?
One of their intangible assets are their major asset. So an example is we had a model called the Waikato Regional Transport. I can't think of exact name, the model, WRTM. And so that was actually developed, and that helps was developed with the purpose of helping all of the councils plan for transport movements. So when we were looking at Lockerbie, for example, and the impact on our networks, etc., we asked them to run that through the model, but also for our growth strategy. So that's what the purpose of that model is. But that model is coming to the end of its life. But so there's a high level. It's almost, well, I believe it's going to be something different going forward. But intangible assets actually are their main, systems that have been developed, and not too many of them, for us.
How do they value that?
What cost? Cost.
Okay.
Yeah, because it potentially has a market to somebody else if they offer the same service, but not in that case.
Yeah, but cost isn't market value. Yeah.
No, it isn't.
So it could be, they might only get 1.5.
The value is what we get out of it in terms of our outputs that we want for our planning.
Okay. And we wouldn't get the value because we couldn't afford
We couldn't afford to do it ourselves.
That's cool.
Oh, just a question, but do they anyone scrutinising their costings, and do they get audited like we get audited?
Yes, they do get audited.
So it's all pretty well.
And as I say, we've got my colleagues are on the board. We've got very experienced operators, in local government, finance terms, and I'd have to say Peter Stubbs is a very good independent chair, very astute. In fact, his philosophy is that you should be keeping local government. If I can say this, he said this to me directly, so I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, that he sees that it's necessary to have local government as local, and shared services is a way to ensure that can happen and still keep it local rather than getting bigger.
Yeah.
That's a philosophy shared with me upstairs. Yeah. So what I'm trying to give you a sense of is they are there to deliver value, and we should rightly ask, are they delivering value? We may have other ways of doing things we don't have to use them. We don't. It's optional. But we just have because it's suited us with our scale. If I go back to Councillor Dewey's comment, it wouldn't have been possible for us to create our transport model with sophistication that happened when we did it all together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You said go forward with amalgamations. That's why we're looking at combining services. There's that and there's them. So what happens is they're going to get bigger, and was that going to be part of the amalgamation? That's that whole big.
Might get wound up.
I'll give you
The scary thing is it gets so big that North Island, New Zealand, and then it gets some international company buys them and subcontracts them out to us, and they're making profit. That's the way the world's going. And that's what we've got to be so careful of, getting too big and then getting amalgamated so big, it's someone offshore will own us.
Yes, so if I'll give you the context is changing for CoLab. When you've got 10 local authorities doing similar things,
yeah,
getting them to work together, is a great vehicle, has been a great vehicle for that. If there's only 2 unitary authorities in the region, that's a totally different context. So what I'm saying to you is, and I've said this to the CEO, I'm not sure you exist after reform in that form. I don't think it's going to get bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't. That's just an opinion.
We've got to be so careful.
Okay, so happy to move, Andrew. We've got a seconder on that, Greg.
Yes, yep.
And all in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Charlotte, up next, Civic Financial Services.
Yes, this is the final statement of intent and the annual report for Civic. This one is pretty similar to the statement of intent that was provided to you earlier, just noting that Matamata-Piako District Council did nominate Ken Morris to sit on the Directors Board of Civic Financial Services in the last year as well. So now he's on board as well.
Yeah. All good. Any questions on that, or we got someone happy to move the motion that the shareholding on this? Yeah. Sue's going to move and Dane's going to second. That the information be received. All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for that.
Thanks, guys.
Have I got someone that will move us into public activities? All in favour, please say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The RSA will finally get in this order. No. Sue's. Yeah. She'll be impressed that we're running ahead of schedule.
Tremendous management, Fish.
Oh, mate, we're on fire, eh?
Don't say anything, guys. I'm worried every time you say something.
Yeah, I know. I thought we'd be good. But I think we're far enough ahead, Mr. Sainsbury, that we're chipping.
Oh man, it is what we're waiting for. So, yeah, I just. That is a really nice report.